let me introduce our next speaker, and I'm not quite sure he needs an introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. We are very, very pleased to have here before you Mr. Bill Hennessy from the Alton Tea Party.
Every one of you has become a son or daughter of liberty. The people who planted those trees, that's what they call themselves, the sons and daughters of liberty. You've joined that group. You've reached back over 230 years. You've reached into history, you've pulled it forward, and you've become part of history. That's not an easy feat. It's taken the status a whole lot of work, a whole lot of your money and my money, a whole lot of effort just to reach back to Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin and Benito Mussolini and a list of failed statists who people like you have had to don the uniform of the country, carry the flag of freedom into battle, to put down, to bury, and they keep coming back like Dracula. History will remember what you did. Your grandchildren will read about these days that we live right now. These days of turmoil, tenacity, tea parties, and eventually triumph. When Winston Churchill was Prime Minister of Great Britain, and I believe this was on his second tour, they kicked him out right after World War II. We sometimes bury our heroes before their time. He was in Canada, touring the provinces, and he went to a dinner one night. And it was in the far west regions, it was cold, and it was a small dining room. It was almost like a dinner in someone's house, but it was the head of the province there, the western province. I'm not sure which one it was. Churchill was seated next to a very stern, very strict, very stiff Methodist preacher who didn't seem really happy to be there. He didn't seem to understand the honor of sitting next to a man who, some say, with his voice and his words, won World War II. When dinner was over and the after-dinner drinks came out, a young waitress came around with a tray of glasses of sherry, and she went first to the guest of honor, who was Winston Churchill, and I think we all know that Winston Churchill didn't mind having a drink now and then, so he more than eagerly took that glass. She then handed it to the minister. For the first time that night, he sat up and spoke, and he said, "Young lady, how dare you? How dare you try to poison me with that? I would sooner commit adultery with you than to drink that poison." Poor young lady was embarrassed and started to run off, and Winston Churchill stopped her. He grabbed her arm and said, "Lassie, you can take mine too. I didn't know I had that choice." We all have a choice, not between sherry and a waitress, but between freedom, liberty, and tyranny. The Tea Party movement is to awaken us to the need to take part in the march of liberty. Liberty isn't something that just hangs out there and we breathe it in now and then. It's something that we recapture every day, something that we have to fight for. Unfortunately, there's always those who are willing and eager to take away our freedom. We have to be vigilant. We have to build walls to protect our freedom. We built one called the Constitution, and they've been hacking at it ever since. They've got their hacksaws and their pickaxe. They've got their shovels, bulldozers. Right now, it seems like they have cruise missiles. Anything they can do to tear down that wall that separates us from the statists who want to tell us how to live. As part of this Tea Party movement, we've inspired people to not only come to rallies, to go to Senator McCaskill's office twice in 1 week, to tell her what we think. We've gone to Russ Carnahan's office, and unfortunately he decided to speak, and it got on national television, and it kind of made a laughingstock out of the 3rd District where I grew up. But we're going to fix that pretty soon, because out of the Tea Party will rise the men and women to take the seats that Americans deserve and statists have plundered. And I want you to listen very carefully to this and take it to heart. When that happens, when men and women rise from our ranks and step forward and take up the mantle and march into that battle, don't turn away from them. It's easy to say both parties are bad, but trying to run a campaign for national office without the power of a party, without the name recognition of a party, is almost impossible. We saw what Ross Perot did. He worked hard. He had many great ideas, and unfortunately what he did is gave us Bill Clinton. Sadly enough, I give my right arm to have Bill Clinton back in the White House today. Never thought I'd hear myself say that. When these men and women step out at the Tea Parties and out of the 9/12 Project and the other great organizations and movements that have started as a result of this advance towards statism and away from liberty, we need to stand behind them with everything we've got. When we throw the bums out, we have to have someone to replace them with, and we're going to replace them with patriotic heroes. And I know every one of you will support that. With phone calls, with emails, with signs, with rallies, and with money. Whether or not they need money.